Hey everyone, Iron Leprechaun coming at you directly to your face, like always. Try something new today. I wanted to do this earlier, but I got caught up with other things. It's Wednesday. It's Hump Day. So what I'm gonna start doing on Hump Day is talking about something somewhat loosely related to Hump Day, and that is relationships. So, no, I am not an expert. I have not had any training, but I have had world life experience, and I've studied it due to the fact of having multiple failures. So, let's start with talking to both men and women. Okay, check it out. We have different operating systems, men and women. And if you talk to any influencers or watched them or any dating coaches or whatever, all these people, they all say something to this effect. Women generally come from more of an emotional standpoint. Men come from more of a physical standpoint. And we can argue this till the cows come home, but the data proves it, okay? So moving on with that, who cares about that stuff, right? You'd be like, dude, who cares? What about the relationships? Here we go. Relationships are screwed up because men and women do not understand from a fundamental standpoint and then move forward from the idea that we speak different languages. It's like Apple and Android. You know, the iPhone and Android systems are totally different. They achieve and seek out the same goal. They look to achieve the same outcome, but they speak different languages. And I'm not talking about love languages and stuff. While that does apply on a secondary level, I'm talking about the most primal level that we can't even. I mean, we can try and alter and manipulate, but it takes quite a bit of effort. And quite frankly, I think at that point, if we're trying to manipulate and alter something that is primal and innate within us, are we being authentic? Okay, there's a line there. So, women, like I said, you know, generally, now I know there's outliers. Let me put this disclaimer out there again. Now there's outliers. There's just like in every study or every scientific finding, there's the exception. Okay, and you might think you're that. But for the sake of argument and for the sake of getting any benefit from this, I'm going to highly recommend that when I talk about generalities, we don't automatically assume that we're the exception, okay? Something I learned in 12-step groups is focusing on the differences will keep us from being able to see the similarities. And if I can't see the similarities between me and my fellow man in certain things, I'm not going to be able to benefit from interacting with them. I'm not going to benefit from their experience, their wisdom. So why do that? That's contempt prior to investigation. That's shutting it down, and it's trying to be different because I don't like what you're saying, or when you say speaking in generalities, because it's not who I think I am or who I should be or want to be perceived as. So I would highly recommend stop doing that. Not just with me, with all things. Okay? You're never gonna grow. So, women. Okay, women speak from emotions, from their heart. Okay, and this is a beautiful thing. It's a gorgeous thing. We need this. This is a good thing. Okay, this doesn't make them weaker. This doesn't make them stronger. This just is. It just is. Okay, and as men, we need to realize this. Okay, you gotta get that. That means that, you know, when women say that they're not that they aren't attracted to a muscular, fit, handsome shell, a physique, a get up, that doesn't mean that they're not attracted to it, but it's less important than it is to a man. Because, here you go, women, men are more physically driven, more visually driven, okay? This is why adult content gets viewed and subscribed to more by men than women. Whether your orientation is men or women, it doesn't matter. Men are more visually stimulated, okay? So women, take note of that. When women expect, into a relationship, for example, when a woman and man meet, during the courtship phases and getting to know each other and all these things, women will speak the language they know. Let's say they're the iPhone, okay, and they speak from the heart, okay? So when they speak that, they hear that. All right? When a man who speaks the android, more physical and logical in a lot of ways, they don't understand. Now, they could be saying the exact same thing, but it's in a different language. It'd be like someone from France speaking to someone in Brazil, okay? Their native languages are different. That doesn't mean I'm not here to like rain on the parade and of intimate relationships or friendship relationships for that matter. I'm not trying to say, oh, it's screwed, you're screwed, blah blah blah. What I'm bringing this to attention so that we can understand. There's a lot of dating right now that's gone to shit. Okay, there's guys that are like, oh well, she just all we do is talk about and she won't sleep with me and that blah blah blah. And now I'm not saying that that's what all guys are always thinking, but I've heard that a lot from people I know. That when are we going to get physical, basically? And the same thing from women. Women are like, well, all he does is want to get physical, and he doesn't really reach me on an emotionally deep level and blah, blah, blah. Okay, what we're talking about here is the goals of what each sex typically, that's their goal in a relationship. In the most primitive version of our brain, that's what we want, okay? And we both, despite what people say, we both want this during the courtship phase. Now, this is highly controversial, excuse me. I can say that as a Christian, it is highly controversial. We talk about sex before marriage and all this stuff. And I can say, honestly, that I'm not sold on that. And if that bothers you as a Christian, I'm sorry. That's between me and my Savior, and you guys can, what's yours is yours, and we'll figure this out in the end, right? Okay, maybe I'm wrong, but that's just where I'm at right now. What I'm saying is in the courtship phase, a woman wants to know that she is going to be emotionally safe and secure. And she's looking for that in a man. Take note, men. And women, take note. A man is looking for physically, can she satisfy me and give me what I desire and what I'm looking for. So I think what we need to do is realize that that is what the other person's looking for, and stop focusing on what we want so much and look into how we can provide that for the other. Relationships are not about what I can get. It's what I can give. Okay? And unfortunately, dating nowadays, from what I've seen and heard, it's come to the point where those two dynamics, it's like, it's become this who's going to cave first, And that's just, it shouldn't even be viewed that way. And I think, honestly, if we move I'm not putting the gas pedal on, I'm not putting the brake pedal on, but move organically, let things move, trust the flow. It all works out the way it's supposed to, and nobody has to give in, nobody has to cave, nobody has to, sacrifice. It all, there's sacrifices in relationships, but that's further on. I'm talking about in the courtship phase. So, just something to chew on. This video ran a little longer than I wanted it to, so hopefully y'all tuned in, hopefully you got something out of it, and talk to y'all later.